The Shark Deck.
If you listen regularly, you know sometimes I'll record back-to-back episodes, especially with the weekend. So here's a question for you. When your creative juices are flowing and you sound pretty good on the mic, do you keep going or do you take the potty break you kind of need to take? See, I've been drinking one of these large iced coffees from the National Donut Chain. By the way, Pumpkin is back. It wasn't back a week ago. The app told me Pumpkin was back, and I went there, and they were like, no, and Pumpkin's not back. What are you talking about? But it's back now, baby. Anyway, I've had some, and I'm like, kind of could use a break here. TMI, Johnny Mac, but I'm flowing, so I'm going to keep going. Andrew Schulz went to see Taylor Swift. He was very excited. I also saw Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift was amazing. I'm not the biggest Swiftie, but I walked out of that concert going, wow, she's great. Now, I'm a big Springsteen fan. At least I was until he decided to charge everybody $500 for tickets this tour. No thanks, Bruce. Seen you 4 times. I'll pass. Enjoy the empty seats you would have had in Philadelphia. And yeah, Springsteen was on Instagram saying, hey, tickets still available. He wound up canceling those shows. Bruce himself was ill. Or maybe, conspiracy theory, Johnny Mac, maybe Bruce didn't want to play to empty seats in Philadelphia. I love a good conspiracy. Anyway, Taylor Swift, like 4 hours, high energy, choreographed dance routines. You know, so if Bruce and the guys want to stand at the other end of the stage and just play guitar, I'm not as impressed as I was 20 years ago. I digress. Johnny Mac, get to it. You're a minute and a half in today. Andrew Schulz went to see Taylor Swift. He was on Instagram and captured it. I went to Taylor. By the way, it was the greatest live concert I've ever seen in my life. The only person who can compare to Taylor Swift is to Michael Jackson. Let's not compare Taylor Swift to Michael Jackson. Maybe Michael Jackson as a performer, but Google Michael Jackson. Let's not get into that. Schultz said, there's nobody else. You're doing a disservice to any other artist if you compare Taylor Swift to them. I'm being honest with you. It was the most amazing live concert I've ever seen. Andrew was asked if he's ever seen Beyonce. He wrote back, son, I've seen Beyonce, and I'm just going to hurt feeling here, but you're doing a disservice to Beyonce to compare her to Taylor Swift because Taylor is in another galaxy. Love it. Middle East Esquire, your home for comedy news, asked Mark Normand, what are the 3 top specials of all time for you? Mark Normand said, whoa, I'm going to try and be objective because some of these specials, they hit you at the right time. You're young. They mean a lot to you. So I'm going to try not to go personal and emotional. I think Louis' second special, Chewed Up, it's like a masterpiece. That's his top of the heap masterpiece opus. Best work he's ever done. Are you enjoying the half-ass Mark Normand I'm starting to slip in? It's not quite there, but it's not awful. Chris Rock's Bring the Pain is pretty damn amazing. It's raw, it's dark, it's funny, it's silly, it's got everything. It's got crazy jokes where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that. But it's also really smart. It's tough. There's so many great specials. Norman said, I love Seinfeld's first one, I'm telling you for the last time. That has so many great jokes in it. It's just years of reps and doing work. I love these early specials because you can see how much time and effort people put into it. Killing Them Softly by Dave Chappelle. The first one's incredible, top to bottom. The Sesame Street bit, that's incredible. Ellen's first one, Here and Now, is really good. Richard Pryor, obviously live in concert, might be the best comedy special ever made top to bottom. Gaffigan's Beyond the Pale is great. Mulaney's New Town is still, I think, his best work. Killer, I agree. Nate Bargatze's last special, put that on the list. That one was incredible. Yes. Bill Burr's Why Do I Do This? I mean, that hour blew my mind. And Michelle Wolf's first HBO special was incredible. Check that out. The New York Times went to see John Oliver and Seth Meyers. They played together at the Beacon Theater in Manhattan. They each did a 50-minute stand-up set. Then they returned to the stage together to answer questions. One man in the back shouted out that his goal was to be a talk show host. Seth Meyers said, bad timing, referring to the writer's strike. Oliver said, can we have a job from you? The Times says the biggest difference in seeing John Oliver live is his pacing. Last Week Tonight is so densely written that the show needs to be a little hurried to make its intricate arguments work. A lot of jokes and quick pivots must be crammed in. In his stand-up, John Oliver's assured delivery is more jaunty, leisurely and varied, alternating speeds wildly in the course of a sentence. He still speaks in articulate paragraphs, but the punchlines can be so dry that some of the laughs take a second to arrive, but then they linger. A slow burn kill. Oliver said, America's a divided country. You constantly hear people saying that. Then he gave it a beat and tagged it with, and other people agreeing with him. The Times writes, there's something about the timing of the pause and the shift in intonation that made an unexpected and funny point, one he followed by skewering those who claim that we've never been more divided. He asked, what more did the Civil War have to do? Some other topics. Why British food stinks. The frustrations of daylight savings time. He predicted future generations would judge us harshly. His central theme was take a closer look at history, and it helped make sense of the present. Seth Meyers was more down-to-earth and observational, opening with jokes about recent gigs in Florida, then moving on to his family and COVID. Jay Pharoah is taping his next special tonight at the Den Theater in Chicago. We'll see if he busts out some of his famous impressions, including Barack Obama, Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Stephen A. Smith, Kanye West, and Chris Tucker. Den Theater tonight, Chicago. Mark Maron had Jim Gaffigan on his podcast. It's probably about a month ago now, and Maron said, I don't know, it bothers me. As I get older, I really don't understand people. You know, you think people are right, and then you see stuff that goes on. It's like they're definitely not. There's a lot of people, they volunteered for their brains to be broken in a certain way. Jim said, yeah, you know, it's like among comedians. It's like a different kind of comedy. I get it. It's not for me, but they're decent people. Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa will do a buddy action comedy currently titled The Wrecking Crew. No plot details are released right now. If you are a cannabis enthusiast who likes comedy and you can be in Muskegon, well, head on over to The Bowl at 623 West Clay Avenue. RJN Comedy is having a show tonight to, I'm not into the cannabis. If you are, that's cool. I don't care what you do. But apparently there's a consumption space and it launches this weekend. So they're having a comedy show. The guy putting this together says, comedy's pretty much been my whole life. I like to make people laugh. So with this first year, we're hoping people come out and have a good time and tell other people so we can grow it next year. It's a free show, 6 to 7:30 tonight. Russell Cairns, Farai Gatora, Jay Harris, Kevin Johnson are your comedians. From the LA Times, how comedian Ryan Sickler battled a rare disorder and laughed in the face of death. The LA Times says Ryan Stickler's storytelling style is unparalleled. His high-pitched laugh is infectious, and his spirit draws you in like the smooth inhalation of a joint, which Sickler also knows a thing or two about. Sickler has a rare blood clotting disease that almost killed him. He talks about his comedy, and he said early on, when I went on stage, I used fake buck teeth and did a hillbilly character. I'll tell you what, though, the next time I used those buck teeth, they broke and I had nothing to go with. And I was like, end of prop comedy. That was like my second set ever, and I had no idea what was even funny or what to do. He has a genetic mutation that increases a person's chances of developing abnormal blood clots. He said, it was the first time I was ever headlining the Brea Improv for a weekend. I'm in the shower getting ready. Suddenly I fall on my knees. I've never felt pain like this in my life. I look down and both my legs are like clotting. I got rushed to the hospital and ended up being kidney stones, but they put me on bed rest, which made my legs clot. Long story short, he spent the month of January on his back. The angle of his hospital bed never set higher than 30 degrees. When his tests were good, he was able to leave the hospital. That is good news. This one's icky from Chortle, taking a look at the Fringe. Benjamin Bello said he experienced 3 racial incidents during his 10-day run. That is awful. He said that had never happened before. Twice he was told, go back to your country. The third time, this is horrible. Let me just read the sentence as written by Chortle. In the third case, a woman repeatedly said she couldn't see him in the dark. People are horrible, man. Just come on. All this occurred in public places. In 2 cases, fellow comedians intervened. In the most aggressive case, stand-up Daphne Barham called the police after no other customers or staff in the cafe where they were eating stepped in. Bello said, it's like no one knows how to respond when these incidents happen. It's exhausting to have to deal with incidents like this, not only as it's happening, but then to raise awareness afterwards. Black acts should not be racially abused for visiting Edinburgh to make locals and tourists laugh. These incidents will never stop me from coming to Edinburgh. I've never experienced any racist incidents here before, but this year felt strange. Perhaps they are isolated incidents, but it needs to be addressed. Black acts visiting the city need to be aware that there's an increase in racial incidents. Apart from getting ready to protect ourselves, we do need more allies to act when they witness these incidents. And there's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.